Okay, so today we're diving into something that's a little different, a little unexpected. We're talking about a career as a wholesale merchant in waste and scrap.
Waste and scrap.
Yeah,
You don't hear that one every day, do you?
not exactly the first thing that comes to mind when you think dream job, right?
Yeah.
But, and this is where it gets interesting, we've been digging into RoleCatcher, and they have a ton of resources on this. And it turns out this could be a surprisingly, lucrative and impactful career path. Who knew?
It's true. It's not the most, shall we say, glamorous field at first glance.
Yeah.
But when you look at the data, and that's what we're doing today with RoleCatcher's info, it's clear that there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Okay, so let's get into it. What does a wholesale merchant in waste and scrap actually do? Because I was looking at all this stuff on RoleCatcher, and honestly, I'm a little lost. It seems more complicated than I thought.
It's all about, well, think about it. Every business, every industry, they all generate waste, right?
Yeah.
You've got manufacturers with leftover materials, construction sites with debris, offices even, they end up with old electronics. It all has to go somewhere.
So where does the wholesale merchant come in?
They're the ones who connect the dots. They're the deal makers. They find buyers for all that stuff that most people just see as junk.
So, instead of just tossing it all in a landfill.
Exactly. It's about finding a second life for those materials, connecting suppliers with companies that actually need them. And that often means dealing with, large quantities. That's where the wholesale comes in.
Right, right. RoleCatcher mentioned something about facilitating trades of, large quantities of waste and scrap materials.
Precisely. This isn't, someone collecting aluminum cans in their garage. This is high volume trading, understanding the market, knowing what materials are in demand, and negotiating deals.
And that's where that high earning potential comes into play, right? Because RoleCatcher was, very upfront about that being a major perk of this job.
Yeah, there's definitely money to be made. But
There's always a but, isn't there?
well, it's not all easy street.
Wow.
One thing RoleCatcher stresses is that you need extensive market knowledge. Those materials we were talking about, the demand for them, it can fluctuate like crazy.
Oh, I bet.
Oh,
Remember what happened a couple years back with the supply chains?
exactly. 2022. Chaos. Suddenly, everyone's scrambling for the same resources. Prices are going haywire. A good wholesale merchant, they need to be able to anticipate those kinds of shifts in the market. Almost like, playing the stock market, but with scrap metal and building materials.
So you're not just, connecting buyers and sellers. You're kind of like I don't know, a waste and scrap strategist or something.
That's a good way to put it. You have to be able to analyze trends, spot opportunities, and, of course, negotiate a good deal.
Negotiation, that's got to be key. RoleCatcher mentioned that.
Absolutely. You're dealing with suppliers who want the best price for their quote-unquote trash and buyers who are trying to, get a bargain. A good wholesale merchant, they can find that sweet spot where everyone feels like they've come out on top.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this is more complex than it sounds. But what about the people skills? Because RoleCatcher really emphasized that, too.
Oh, yeah. Those are huge.
Active listening, social perceptiveness, all that. Why are those so crucial in a job that's essentially like buying and selling trash?
Well, it's like you're not just dealing with, piles of stuff. You're dealing with people. Right.
Right.
So let's say you're talking to a potential supplier, someone in, I don't know, demolition.
Okay.
They've got tons of scrap metal from a recent project. Now, a less experienced merchant, they might just focus on okay, how do I get this for the lowest price per ton?
Right, just looking at the number.
Exactly. But a really savvy wholesale merchant, someone who knows what they're doing, they're going to listen. They're going to pick up on those cues.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, maybe this demolition company, they're under pressure to clear that site quickly.
Time crunch.
Yeah, so suddenly speed is more important to them than squeezing out every last dollar. Or maybe they've got a stockpile of a specific type of metal, something that's suddenly in high demand. But only someone who's really plugged into the market, someone who's been doing their homework, would know that.
So you're saying it's about understanding the context, the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's not just about the stuff itself, it's about the why. Why are they selling? What are their priorities? And that's where those soft skills come in. Active listening, being able to read people, understanding what they need, even if they're not saying it outright.
Makes sense. Because you're building a relationship, not just doing a one-time deal.
Exactly. And those relationships, they matter. A good wholesale merchant, they're not just trying to make a quick buck. They're building a reputation, a network.
So thinking long-term.
Yeah. Because this industry, it's more about people than you might think.
Okay, that's actually really interesting. It's more nuanced than it seems on the surface. But speaking of nuance, RoleCatcher also has this whole section on career paths, different stages, advancement opportunities, all that.
Oh, yeah, they lay it all out there, which I think is helpful, If you're considering this as a career, it's good to know where you can start and where you can go.
Right. So let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm intrigued, but I have zero experience in the waste and scrap world. Where do they even begin?
Well, RoleCatcher, they have this thing, the role of a junior wholesale merchant. That seems like a pretty standard entry
The
point.
junior wholesale merchant.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would someone in that position, what would they actually be doing day to day?
It's kind of like an apprenticeship, I guess. You'd be learning the ropes from more senior merchants, getting a feel for how the market works, probably doing a lot of market research, looking for trends, identifying opportunities, maybe even shadowing on deals, seeing how the negotiations actually go down in real life.
So very hands-on.
Very hands-on. Yeah, it's all about building up that foundation of knowledge and experience.
Okay, so you start as a junior, you learn the ropes, but then what? Where can you go from there? What did RoleCatcher say about advancement?
Well, it looks like there are a couple of main paths you can take. You could, the traditional route, climb the corporate ladder.
You work your way up.
Yep. Senior wholesale merchant, maybe eventually a management position, more responsibility, more earning potential.
Makes sense. But they also mentioned something about entrepreneurship, right?
That's the one that caught my eye. It seems like a lot of wholesale merchants, they eventually branch out on their own. They leverage their experience, their network, and they start their own businesses.
Now that is interesting. Being your own boss in the waste and scrap world.
Right. Talk about a unique career path. But, let's be real. Breaking into any new field, especially one like this, it can be intimidating.
Absolutely.
So how do you stand out? How do you convince someone to take a chance on you, even if you don't have years of experience?
Well, that's where I think RoleCatcher comes in, right? They don't just give you the information, they give you the tools.
Exactly. And the one that really impressed me, their interview prep section.
Oh, yeah, we were looking at that before. It's super in-depth.
Because you can know everything there is to know about waste and scrap. But if you can't nail that interview, it doesn't matter, right?
Right. First impressions are everything. So how does RoleCatcher help with that?
Okay, get ready for this. They have this thing called AI improvements for interview practice. And this is where their platform gets seriously next level.
AI and interview practice.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got my attention. Tell me more.
So imagine this, you're prepping for this interview, right? You've done the research on the company. You even picked out the perfect outfit.
Yeah.
But you're still kind of nervous.
Oh, I know that feeling. Totally.
And that's where RoleCatcher comes in with this, it's called AI video feedback.
Okay.
So you basically record yourself answering common interview questions.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's like a practice run, but here's the thing. It's not just recording you, it's using AI to analyze everything.
Everything.
Yeah, your body language, how you're speaking, even your facial expressions. It's wild.
So it can tell if I'm fidgeting too much or if I sound unsure of myself.
Exactly. It sees all those little things we might not even notice, and then it gives you personalized feedback suggestions on how to improve.
So it's like having an interview coach, but like an AI interview coach.
Right. And it can catch things like if you're saying, too much or, not making enough eye contact. It's all about those subtle cues that can make a big difference.
It's like having a secret weapon for your interview.
And that's crucial, right? Because we were talking about how important those soft skills are in wholesale merchanting, building trust, making a good impression. This helps you nail those first interactions.
Wow, RoleCatcher really thought of everything with this. It's impressive.
Seriously. And the best part, it's not just for this career path. This AI tool can be helpful for anyone prepping for any interview.
Okay, so to wrap things up, we went from thinking about literal trash to uncovering this whole world of market trends and negotiation skills and even AI.
And don't forget the sustainability angle.
Right. This isn't just about making money. It's about making a difference. It's about finding new life for materials, keeping them out of landfills.
Exactly. It's a career with, real world impact.
And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be inspired to revolutionize the waste management industry, start their own business, become a waste tycoon.
Waste tycoon. I like the sound of that.
See, the possibilities are endless when you start digging deeper. So remember, folks, don't judge a career by its,
trash talk.
Exactly. There could be a hidden gem just waiting to be discovered. And with tools like RoleCatcher, you have everything you need to find it.